Hi, I'm Lillian. Welcome back to my channel Ink and Pages. Today I'm going to be showing you all of the books I got in autumn and winter 2022, starting with The Chimp Paradox by Professor Steve Peters. This is, I guess, like a self-help book, technically. I don't know if it's like non-fiction psychology or if it's just straight up self-help. But I had this recommended to me by a few people and it sounds really interesting. You know that saying where it's like you have two wolves inside you? I think this might tell me that I have several chimpanzees inside me. So I'm very interested to see what that's about. Next, I have Feminists Don't Wear Pink and Other Lies, edited by Scarlett Curtis. This is a collection of pieces of writing and essays, all centered around feminism. Although, to be honest, it came out quite a few years ago, so I'm a little bit worried, honestly, that it won't have aged very well in hindsight. But I'm still very interested to give it a go. I guess I won't know if it's aged poorly or not until I actually read it. But I got this secondhand from my friend Lydia and I do love pink, so. Next, I got The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. I picked this up on the buy one, get one half price table at the Foyles in South Bank. Although, to be honest, it probably should have stayed on that table because I did not love it. I talked about this in my last video, my wrap up. This is a thriller mystery about a woman who goes to stay with her brother in his flat in Paris. When she gets there, he is not there. And what's going on? Something bad, probably. She has to investigate. I then got this wonderful copy of the Aeneid, translated by Shadi Barsh. This I don't love sprayed edges. Let me just start off by saying that. However, this is a particularly vibrant shade of orange, which did catch my eye when I saw it in the local bookshop. What also caught my eye is the fact that Virgil is spelled with an E, whereas like literally until I saw this book, I'd only ever saw it spelled with an I. But actually I looked up his full name. His full name was Publius Virgilius Maro, and Virgilius was spelled with an E. So technically, this is the more accurate spelling. So the Aeneid is like a Latin epic that I think tells the story of Prince Aeneas, who was a prince of Troy, and then he escaped the fall of Troy and then eventually went on to found what will one day be Rome. To be honest, I'm much more familiar with like Greek epic poetry, like the Iliad and the Odyssey, but we did do a bit of the Aeneid for my Latin GCSE however many years ago, so I have like a vague notion of what to expect. I'm probably not going to be picking this up anytime soon now. This is actually the second copy of the Aeneid I have on my shelves. I got one far uglier copy from a charity shop like 2 years ago, which no, I haven't read. But until I pick this up, it's just a very welcome addition to my folklore and mythology shelf. Next, we will go on to the 6 books I got for Christmas, starting with The Little Book of Hygge by Mike Viking. This is super popular, you've probably heard of it, but it's like all about the concept of hygge, which is basically like Danish coziness, I believe. So I do not like the winter. I have been struggling with the lack of sunlight and the ferocious cold. So I may be using this as like a how-to manual on how to improve my coziness levels in 2023. We'll see. Next, I got books 4 and 5 in the Wayward Children series by Shauna Maguire, which are In an Absent Dream and Come Tumbling Down. This is a series of novellas about children who have gone through magical doors into magical fantasy lands, has an adventure, but then come back into our world, and they can't really cope with being back and the very likely possibility that they're stuck here forever and they're never going to be able to go back to their magical worlds. And the children come to live in this school called Eleanor West Home for Wayward Children, where they're hopefully able to sort of come to terms with their experiences. And the series alternates between like books set in the school and seeing what's happened to various children and various characters after their adventures. And then every other book is like the story of someone's adventures in their fantasy world. So In an Absent Dream actually follows one of the teachers in the school, Lundy, and I think her journey to the goblin market as a child. We did meet Lundy in the very first book of the series, Every Hard Doorway, and I won't lie, I did not read about her and go, oh, that's a super interesting character, I'd love to hear her story. But Goblin Market sounds cool, so I'm willing to give it a go. Book 5, I actually don't really know what it's about. I'm assuming it's set back in Eleanor's school again. And I feel like I might just go into it not really knowing. That could be exciting, because I mean, I'm going to keep reading no matter what it's about, really. So I'm going to leave that one a little air of mystery, I think. Next, I got another book in a series. These are all books in series, actually, I got for Christmas. Every single one of them is a continuation of something else, except for the Book of Hugo. Next, I got the third book in the Singing Hill cycle by Nevo. This one is called Into the Riverlands. I'm assuming it will follow the very similar premise to the first two books, which both had very similar premises, which is this series follows a cleric called Chi, and their job is to travel around and record stories and local histories. So I'm assuming in this book, Chi will go into the Riverlands and hear another fantastical story. I really enjoyed the first two books in this series, The Empress of Salt and Fortune and When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain, so I'm really hoping I will love this one just as much. Next, I got A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers, which is the sequel to one of the best books I read over the summer, A Psalm for the Wild Built, which is set far in the future, in a world where one day all the robots gained sentience at once and left humanity behind to go and live in the wilderness. And so no one has seen a robot in like centuries until our main character, who is a tea monk, meets a robot who is a little bit curious, kind of wants to see what's going on, what humans are really like, how they can help. And it was unusual in that it was a really like positive and optimistic sci-fi book, of which I don't think there are very many. So I'm really hoping this one will give me the same sort of warm, cozy, fuzzy vibes as book one. And finally, for Christmas, I got the 7th volume in the Monstrous graphic novel series by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takada. This one is called Devourer. And I think I have gotten the latest Monstrous volume for Christmas for like the past few years in a row. It's quite a nice tradition that I've got into. This is a fantastic, far-reaching, expansive, imaginative, high fantasy, steampunk matriarchal series. That is one of my favourite series of all time, and it's definitely my favourite graphic novel series of all time. And the previous volume ended on like a massive cliffhanger, so very excited to read this year. And finally, I want to give a shout out to the 99p ebook I bought. Technically on the first day in January, but I'm going to include it here because I was setting up my reading journal for 2023, and I've done a spread where it's like bookshelves I've drawn out, and it's all of my TBR as of the 1st of January. And I triple fucking checked like 3 times that I had drawn the right number of book outlines for every book on my TBR. And then it turns out that I didn't actually have 60 books on my TBR, I had 59. So I thought, fuck it, I'll just go on, see what like free or cheap ebooks there are that sound vaguely interesting. And so I bought Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. I've heard a lot about this book, very mixed things. But this is a mystery thriller about a married couple whose marriage is maybe not going so well. They go away on holiday together and I don't know, something happens. The husband has like face blindness, so that sounds like it could be an interesting premise to a thriller. But I'm hoping this gets like dark and twisty and murderous, and that I enjoy it. But if I don't enjoy it, it was only 99p, and I basically bought it to give myself peace of mind for a reading journal spread. So it's not very high stakes. But here are all of those books. Lovely, gorgeous, wide range of colours. My reading journal video will be coming soonish. I've almost finished it. But thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one.